A calm morning sunlight filtered through the windows of Jefferson High School as students hurried through the hallways without knowing that today would become the most unforgettable day in the school's history. In room 214 sat a new math teacher named Emily Warren, quiet in her demeanor but commanding in her presence. Most students knew only one thing about her. She was different. She spoke less, observed more, and carried a strange confidence that made even the loudest troublemakers sit straighter. No one in that school had the slightest idea that Emily was not an ordinary teacher. Before entering education, she had served 12 years in the United States Navy. 8 of those years were in a classified special operations program that partnered with Navy SEAL teams. She had survived extreme training, completed missions no one would ever hear about, and walked away with skills meant to neutralize the most dangerous enemies on Earth. She chose a quiet life afterward, hoping to find peace in teaching. But peace was not what this day had planned for her. In the same school roamed a boy named Tyler Briggs, a tall 17-year-old whose anger ran deeper than anyone understood. His father had left years ago, his mother worked double shifts, and Tyler grew up learning to solve problems with fists instead of words. Teachers feared him but tolerated him. He never backed down, never respected authority, and today he was already fuming after an argument in the hallway. Emily knew nothing about his morning fight, but she would soon find herself at the center of Tyler's rage. Fourth period began like any other. Students filled the chairs, talking loudly and scrolling through their phones. Emily wrote equations on the board with her usual calmness. But Tyler entered the room with an energy that felt like a storm. His steps were heavy, his jaw clenched, and he dropped into his seat with a glare that could cut steel. Emily sensed it immediately. Years of special operations had sharpened her instincts. She could read body language faster than most people could read words. Tyler's fists were tight, his breathing shallow, his eyes darting. Something was boiling inside him, and she knew that unless handled correctly, he would explode. She turned toward him with her measured, calm voice and asked him to stay after class for a private conversation. That one sentence was enough to push Tyler off the edge. His classmates felt the tension and slowly fell silent. Tyler stood from his desk and approached the front of the room with clenched fists. Emily maintained eye contact but never showed fear. Her students had no idea they were witnessing a confrontation between uncontrolled aggression and elite military discipline. Tyler stepped closer until he was just inches away from her. His classmates whispered nervously. Emily could feel the shift in the air as the boy's anger overtook reason. He yelled at her for embarrassing him and accusing him of something he didn't do. She remained calm, telling him he needed to regain control and return to his seat. Those words snapped what little patience he had left. Before anyone could move, Tyler lunged forward and grabbed her throat with both hands. Gasps filled the room. 2 girls screamed. Desks rattled as students scrambled backward in fear. No one had ever seen a student attack a teacher so violently. And no one had any idea that the next few seconds would change everything. For a moment Tyler felt powerful. He thought he had cornered a quiet teacher who would crumble under pressure. But Emily did not panic. Her breathing stayed controlled, her eyes sharp, her mind calculating every microsecond. Her SEAL training surged through her body like a trigger that had been waiting to activate. Tyler's grip tightened, but Emily raised her hands slowly as if surrendering, hiding the precise movements she was preparing to execute. She had been trained to disarm armed terrorists, to escape from bindings underwater, to fight blindfolded. A teenager's grip was nothing she feared. She used a simple but devastating technique taught in close-quarters combat. Her left hand struck his wrist at a precise angle, forcing his fingers to loosen. Her right hand twisted his arm in a fluid motion that redirected his aggression back toward himself. With one calculated pivot, she swept his leg, sending him crashing to the ground. In the same motion she pinned him using a joint lock that instantly immobilized him. Tyler froze. His eyes widened. He could not move. The strength he believed he had was gone. The power he thought he controlled evaporated under the mastery of someone who had fought real enemies. Emily spoke calmly, reminding him to stop resisting because she did not want to hurt him. Her voice was steady, reassuring even, but her grip was unbreakable. Students stared in disbelief. Their quiet teacher had neutralized the strongest and most feared student in the school within seconds. No one said a word. No one even breathed. The transformation from peaceful educator to highly trained operative had stunned the entire class. Emily released Tyler slowly once she sensed his aggression fading. He rolled onto his back, gasping, shocked not by pain but by the realization that he had just lost all control. He saw in her eyes something he had never seen before. Strength without ego. Power without cruelty. Calmness in the middle of chaos. Tyler didn't know that Emily had faced men twice his size, trained killers, and had survived missions that would terrify even the bravest soldiers. He only knew she had defeated him without even trying. Tears filled his eyes as embarrassment and confusion collided inside him. He had expected fear, not compassion. He had expected anger, not understanding. Emily knelt beside him and told him quietly that hurting others was not strength but a sign of uncontrolled pain. Her words pierced deeper than any strike could. The principal soon arrived after a student ran out to call for help. He entered the room and saw Tyler sitting on the ground and Emily standing calmly beside him. She didn't expose what really happened. She simply said there had been a confrontation but it was under control. Students, however, were already whispering about what they had witnessed. Rumors raced through the hallways about how the quiet new teacher had taken down the toughest kid in school with fluid movements no one could explain. By lunchtime, everyone was calling her the ninja teacher. Some students even said she fought like a movie hero. But Emily cared little for reputations. She cared about Tyler. Instead of demanding harsh punishment, she requested a restorative meeting. The administration was surprised but agreed. Tyler was brought into her classroom later that day, still shaken but no longer angry. Emily looked at him not as a threat but as a wounded young man trying to navigate a world that had given him more pain than guidance. She told him she had chosen teaching not because she was weak but because she wanted to use her strength to build others, not break them. Tyler had never heard anything like that. He admitted he felt ashamed, that he didn't know why he reacted so violently, and that he didn't expect her to forgive him. Emily reminded him that everyone fights battles others cannot see and that true strength is controlling yourself in the face of those battles. Their conversation became a turning point in Tyler's life. From that day on, he stopped starting fights and began showing respect to the teacher who had humbled him with both skill and compassion. Emily became his mentor, helping him redirect his anger into discipline. She taught him breathing control, focus exercises, and even introduced him to martial arts not as a weapon but as a way to find balance. Slowly Tyler changed from a feared bully to someone others could rely on. Students noticed his transformation and often whispered that Emily had not just knocked him down but lifted him back up. Months passed and the bond between teacher and student grew stronger. Tyler opened up about his struggles at home, and Emily helped him find resources and counseling. He began doing better academically and even joined a school sports team for the first time. No one forgot the day he had grabbed his teacher's throat, but what everyone remembered more was how she responded with unmatched discipline and unmatched humanity. Years later Tyler would graduate, join the Navy himself, and become a man defined not by anger but by courage and purpose. And he would always say that the turning point of his life began the moment he tried to intimidate a teacher, only to discover she had once been trained to face far greater threats. Emily never told the full truth about her past, and the school never learned that their quietest teacher had come from one of the most demanding military backgrounds. But every student who passed through her classroom felt the power of her presence. She taught math, yes, but she also taught strength, resilience, and the value of self-control. And she proved that sometimes the strongest warriors are those who choose peace until peace is no longer an option. The day Tyler grabbed her throat could have ended in tragedy, but instead it became a story of transformation, discipline, and the hidden power of a teacher who had once been a silent protector of the nation. As the final bell rang each afternoon, students often lingered, drawn by the quiet mystery of the woman who carried herself like someone who had survived storms they would never understand. Emily always smiled and reminded them that true strength is not about overpowering others but learning how to master yourself. And that message lived on long after the confrontation became legend. It became a reminder that heroes do not always wear uniforms. Sometimes they wear the gentle smile of a teacher standing at the front of a classroom, shaping futures not through force but through wisdom, patience, and courage.